Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, Rewind That. It's your girl, Miss K. If this is your first time coming across my channel, welcome. Please be sure to subscribe if you like the vibe and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Alright guys, today we are going to be going over the latest episode of BMF Season 1, Episode 6 called Strictly Business. Alright, so let's get into this episode, guys. Okay, so as we already knew from last week's episode, Lamar is going to be on a rampage, and this episode starts off with just that, right? Meech goes into a store to buy some kids some soda, and here comes Lamar, right? He done got himself a gun, and not just any old gun, guys, a double barrel shotty, all right? And it's pointed right at Meech, ready to blow him to smithereens, okay? And it was definitely going to happen too, but a few good men came to save the day, right? These are his hired protection. Next, Meech meets up with Tiny's cousin Q to discuss an opportunity to expand the business, but Q lets Meech know that after putting his ears to the streets and hearing that Meech snaked his last plug, he can't do business with him. Q lets Meech know that he ain't saying never, just not right now, okay? And we already know that by the end of this episode, everything eventually works out, okay? Next, Terry goes to Mr. Ryan's office and asks him if he could put him in the college fair because he needs something to focus his attention on. So Mr. Ryan tells him that the event is only for juniors and seniors, but he can help set up, right? And I wanted to mention this scene because I like how they're showing Terry's struggle with living the street life, but still feeling that need to maintain a sense of normalcy, you know? But as we see later, his life as a hustler is pretty much haunting him. And he can't focus on his academics the way he would like, you know? When he finally got to the college fair, Mr. Ryan introduced him to like his old colleague or whatever, right? And T couldn't even answer a few simple questions without having all these thoughts in his head, you know, when they had to bury rock and just all of these different things, all right? Anyway, next, Lucille has locked herself in the room and she is not coming out for anybody, okay? So Meech goes find his father to let him know what's going on. And shame on Pastor Swift, okay, for lying, saying he only had $5 after Tiny just broke him off, okay? Because obviously Tiny is staying there or whatever at the church, somewhere in the back of the church or something like that, okay? Now, that is one freaking con artist of a preacher, all right? You slithering freaking snake, all right? I love you, Snoop. Anyway, so when they get back to the house, Terry and Meech let Charles know that the mom found out about Terry selling drugs with Meech, but that's not it. Some drama went down, and we need you to take Mom and Nicole out of town to Ohio for a little while. And we see as the episode plays out that they did not leave town, right? And there was some grave consequences because of this. Well, actually, it was a grave consequence because of this, and someone innocent dies, okay? And, you know, the father did not want to leave the home that he built until Meech and Terry told him why. You know, like, what did you guys do that I have to take my wife and my daughter out of this house that I built with my own hands, okay? And this was one of my concerns. You know, I did wonder if they were going to leave, you know, because some people are prideful like that. They're like, I'm not letting nobody run me out of my home. But um, Charles's main thing was, I'm not going nowhere until y'all tell me why. But, you know, this is just too much of a gamble. You know, if your sons are in that life and they're telling you that we need y'all to get out of town, you should get out of town, all right? Forget about trying to get them to tell you why. Just go. All right. So anyway, T turns to Meech and tells him that he told him it wasn't a good idea to kidnap Zoe. All right. But Meech says that it was a soft kidnapping. You know, he ain't tape her mouth shut or nothing like that. He bought her freaking ice cream. Right. But regardless, that so-called soft kidnapping is coming with some hard lessons, guys. Okay. Next, Lamar meets up with the 12th Street crew and he tells them that he's about to hit up the Flinneries and he needs them to go distract their bodyguards. But Tiny says that sounds like a personal problem. So Lamar tells him to shut up, right? For he chokes him out again. But Tiny pulls out his gun and lets Lamar know that he done messed up if he think that's going to happen twice, right? So the rest of the 12th Street crew follow Tiny and pull out their guns on Lamar as well. And of course, PM, aka Slick, rides out with Lamar, right? But Detective Bryant shows up right on time and the crew scatters. And Lamar stays behind, right? So during this time, Detective Bryant tells Lamar that he's stupid, okay? And stupid always gets caught. He knows about the shootout that happened this morning. Plus, he got bodies popping up and people going MIA. So then he says to Lamar, tag, I'm it, okay? Letting Lamar know that he is definitely watching him. Next, PM, aka Slick, tells Lamar that he can get everything back, including his family, but not right now because he's too angry. He basically tells Lamar that after he calms down and patches things up with Monique, they can cut Meech and Terry's water off for good, right? So Lamar tells him that if that doesn't work, Meech and Terry won't be the only ones getting their water cut off. And if you watch my character rant video, guys, that I did on Slick, y'all already know that I felt like this was the perfect time for him to run for his life. Next, Terry drops by B. Mick's house and drops off a brick, right? But he doesn't give it to him like Meech told him to. Instead, T charges Mickey for it and says they will show him love on the price, all right? And later on, Meech confronted T about selling Mickey the brick, and T tells Meech that if he would have gave it to him, Mickey would think they were equals. And that's very true, right? And we're going to get back to that scene later on where B. Mickey also confronted Meech about the situation as well. Okay. But anyway, in this episode, we definitely see that Terry got some questions regarding Mickey, right? To me, it's looking like Terry doesn't trust him for going MIA. Plus, I have this feeling about B. Mickey's gun, guys, okay? It was brought up a few times throughout this episode, and that ain't for nothing. I'm thinking we might have to run back to episode 1 and take a look at that gun that was used to shoot T. Okay, and if you haven't checked out my theory video where I asked the question, did B. Mickey shoot T? Then you need to go check that out, okay? Next, Lamar goes to Mo's house and tries to talk to her, but she tells him to get away from him before she puts a restraining order out on him, right? And this makes Lamar go even crazier, okay? And, he tries to yoke Mo up and he grabs her through the gate, right? But she's able to get loose and slams the door on him. So while Lamar is yelling and banging on the door, Zoe sees all this taking place from a window. Next, as we all know by now, Meech and Terry turned their crew into like independent contractors, right? Or as T would call it, the new little Meeches and Terrys. So they're out selling product and they got to make sure they come back with the amount Meech and Terry says. So anyway, B. Mick warns T that Dink is not that smart, right? So he probably shouldn't be a part of this new system. But T wants everybody to do it because, you got to learn and grow, right? But Dink's stupid behind hires some kids to help sell, and one of the kids gets robbed by Lamar. Now, also, we see that it wasn't just Dink's mistake. Kato looked like she was involved with it too because she went with him to go get some food for the kids. All right. So, anyway, because of this, T gives the crew a lecture, and Kato decides to open up her mouth that she needs to get popped in, okay? Because I'm so tired of her talking. But anyway, once Kato opens her mouth and says that she thought they were supposed to have independence, Dink decides to get smart with T. And I'm just like, things need to change in this organization, okay? It's way too much chat back. Like, some examples need to be made so they could see who's running what. You know what I mean? Because it cannot work like this. And Meech or Terry, they need to hire a female security guard just like the one Pat had, hire a woman like that and have her on standby for whenever Kato got something to say, all right? Make that lip nice and swole for her. She'll learn to stop talking. It's time for folks to get dealt with, okay? Next, Charles and Lucille sit down with Karen and they let her know that they're going to take the offer of $25K. But Karen tells them that the offer is no longer on the table because it had a limited time, right? And this is true because when they first got the offer, she let them know that they only had 3 days to decide. Okay, so Charles gets pissed off at Karen for not telling them this when she actually did. Okay, but he goes on and he says, we should have never agreed to work with the conniving rookie lawyer and all that stuff, right? And of course, this highly offends Karen. Okay, and she tells Charles and Lucille that she will no longer be their lawyer. Next, PM gets home and his plan is to get away from Lamar, who he thought wasn't there, but then he hears this man singing, okay? I'm talking about actually sounding good. And it's Lamar playing on the little arcade game, okay? So When PM sees him, he asks Lamar how things went with Mo. Lamar tells him that Mo cut his water off, okay? And I'm going to tell you one thing about Lamar in this episode. Ever since PM told him about cutting water off, that was his go-to phrase throughout this whole freaking episode, all right? I mean, he even said it to poor baby Darius at the end. I'm sorry, little man, I'm gonna have to cut your water off. Like, that was his favorite thing. But anyway, like I said, he tells PM that Mo cut his water off, so now he's going to go after somebody close to Meech and Terry. Now, after PM tells Lamar that this might not be a good idea right now, Lamar starts walking up to PM, singing, you can't stop the rain. Let me stop messing with y'all, right? Anyway, so PM realizes that Lamar's in psycho mode, okay? Michael Myers, guys. And he limps his behind back to his room to get his stuff so he can get out of there. But Lamar winds up stabbing him to death, and that is it for PM, okay? Just like that. So the moral of the story is beware of who you decide to be loyal to, okay? Because while loyalty is a great quality that's hard to find, it's a waste if you're loyal to the wrong kind of person, all right? Next, Terry is confronted by his parents, and they want to know how long he's been selling drugs with Meech, and he tells them ever since Meech started. So, of course, his mother wants to know why. Why would you do something like this, Terry? And Terry tells her that he got tired of living like a poor person, right? And he says some other ignorant things that his father calls him out on. Long story short, guys, Lucille tells Terry that poverty is not an excuse for immorality, and at this point, they are worried about his soul because they can't protect him when it comes to that. They also asked him if they killed somebody, and he let his parents know that they did not, okay? Next, B. Mick tells Meech that he's tired of being left in the dark. He doesn't like the fact that Meech and T bought a record store and he know nothing about it. Plus, he didn't appreciate having to cop a brick like some corner boy. So Meech tells Mickey that they've already been over this. You've been my boy since day one, but the structure of our crew is the structure of our crew. All right, and this is the thing. B. Mick acts like he doesn't understand the whole point of a hierarchy. Y'all cannot all three be on top. And Meech is the head of that hierarchy. He already has to deal with his brother wanting things to be 50-50. Honestly, when it comes to business, you really shouldn't have anything 50-50. There always has to be someone with at least 5% more of, or even maybe 2%. I don't know. But the point is, someone has to have a little more percentage of the ownership, right? So that when difficult choices need to be made or a final decision needs to be made, the person with the higher percentage of the company or organization, that's the one that will make the final decision. It just doesn't work if there's not one person that's the head, all right? There has to be a head. There can't be two heads, all right? And that's, it's just period on that. And of course, B. Mickey, he don't want to hear this, but Meech tells him to look on the bright side. With the price that they're giving him, Mickey can do his own thing and make money on the side. Mickey seems to understand this, but we already know that he still feels some type of way because in the next scene, he tells Kato that he's tired of being the third wheel and he don't know how much longer he can work with Meech and T. All right, so Kato tells him if that's the case, don't work with them, and that she's with him 100%. And I definitely hope this goes sour and blows up in their faces, guys, because I cannot stand neither one of them, all right? Next, Nicole walks home with her little boyfriend, Darius, and she's tired of the bodyguards following them, right? So she makes the suggestion that they should run for it. Let's lose them at the arcade. And they did, and they were able to lose the guy for a little while. And Nicole thought this was all fun. It was so fun to do. That was fun. And so then they had their little kiss and all that stuff, right? But very shortly after that, Lamar pulls up and tries to take Nicole, right? But Darius steps in to protect her and winds up getting stabbed. Poor baby. But because of this, Nicole is able to run away. And after stabbing Darius again, Lamar drives off. And the episode ends with Nicole crying over Darius's body, pleading for him to open his eyes, all right? And that was that, guys. Credits. And you know what? As much as I want to be annoyed with Nicole in this moment, I just felt like it was just so stupid for her to do that. She's saying she felt like a prisoner and all this stuff. Okay, understood. But you even saw that there was a situation at the mall. She remembered the 12th Street crew pressing her brother at the mall, and she could obviously sense that there was some trouble. So if your brothers are putting in place some kind of protection, then you should understand that this is not a game, you know. But at the same time, Meech and Terry, they should have just been honest with her, all right? They should have let her know, listen, some people might be after us and our family to kill us. You know, just be raw with it, because the way she handled this situation, she clearly didn't take it as seriously as she should have. And that's the only thing I could really think about. You know, maybe if she knew all the details, she wouldn't have played herself like that. You know what I'm saying? So that'll do it today for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys thought about this episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you know when I upload more videos like this one. Until next time, you guys take care and be blessed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.